Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at whether or not the Denver Broncos should abandon Drew Lock, or whether or not we should keep him for this next season. Let's get started. So before we make any judgments, we have to see how good he really is. So Drew Lock's 2020 stats. He played 13 games, had a 4-9 record, a 57.3 completion percentage, 3,000 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, and a 75 QB rating. Now, what really stands out to me here is two things: the interceptions and the passing completion. This points out to me instantly a very important part of his game that he hasn't really mastered yet, and that is the mental side. He has not really gotten to the point in the NFL where he can diagnose coverages and make the right reads and throw it to the right receiver. I feel like he's always trying to force the ball downfield rather than taking what's open. And I feel like he's always a little bit, tense in the pocket. His pocket presence isn't that well. That's why we have him running a lot of bootlegs and improvising. But yeah, a 57.3% completion rating is very bad. That's really bad. You cannot have a starting quarterback with that amount of completion. And then 15 interceptions. That's really bad. With 15 interceptions, especially in your own zone, that can turn into a lot of points the other way. And as good as a defense is, if you're throwing interceptions in your own 20-yard line, they can't do anything to stop you from there. So those are the two biggest things: the interception and the passing completion. Now, later in the video, I'll tell you a way that he will get better at this, so just stay tuned. But that's definitely the one thing he has to work on. Alright, next let's look at the setbacks, because it hasn't always been sunshine and rainbows for this guy, too. So, he had no offseason last year, and a new offensive coordinator, which means he has to learn a whole offensive playbook with no offseason at all, over Zoom calls, which is very, very, very difficult. And then, just before the 2020 season, all of a sudden, his wide receiver one, Courtland Sutton, goes out. That is very bad, considering that's the only wide receiver he had last year, except for Tim Patrick. The other two wide receivers are Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler, who are also rookies. And without a preseason or offseason, there's no way you get to learn how these guys play. So he's basically coming into week one blind. Now that's fair. For the first 3 weeks, that's fair. The wide receiver thing is fair. But just the fact that it's a new offensive coordinator and no offseason, he had really no chance to get set for this season. It's not very fair to say that he sucked and it was all his fault. Definitely some of it was his fault, for sure, but not all of it. So you can't make your decision just off that. You gotta take it a little bit easy. Cut him some slack. Alright, now, time to answer the question we've all been waiting for. Should we abandon Drew Lock? My thoughts personally, no. I say we keep him this next year. If he's not even somewhat better, if he's not better at all, if he stays the same, we drop him. For sure. Cut him, trade him for something, draft a quarterback next year, or sign him in free agency. But if he makes improvements, which I think he can, because he put up some insane stats 2 years ago. 2 years ago, he had 5 games. He won 4 of them, lost 1 of them, which was to the Kansas City Chiefs. He was absolutely shredding defenses, but that's because he had a lot of preparation and a scheme that he knew how to play in. But also, don't just take my word for it. Take the rest of the team's word for it. They're all the players. You can see tweets, Instagram posts, everything, saying, we like Drew Lock. Justin Simmons says, I like Drew Lock. I think he has a lot of talent. Courtland Sutton, I'm confident in Drew Lock. Tim Patrick, I'm confident Drew Lock will be our starting guy. And then finally, this is the big one. He's training with Peyton Manning this offseason. Now, he's not really working on his throwing mechanics because those are great. He's a perfectly great athlete. But what he needs to train on and what he is training on is his decision-making and reading the defense. And that's something Peyton Manning was outstanding at. And trust me, Peyton Manning wouldn't waste his time if he didn't think Drew Lock had something special. So, just with that fact, going off that fact, and those other few facts, I think Drew Lock could and definitely should greatly improve next year. Because if he doesn't, then there's no more second chances. He's gone. And that I know for sure. But I just want to say, that's all. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you on the next one. If you like the video, leave a like. If you want to see more, then subscribe.